Okay. Hello. We reconnected? Yeah, we are. Okay. Oh my god, I went live. Right, let's grab this. So we're going to be going and recording some story that I had already looked at, but I'd never finished. So let's see if I can find it here. I want this one. Oh god, I was getting so close to finishing this story. But I've lost everything. Oh, it's 8 pages. And I just made the font easier or like bigger to follow, to read. And now it's 11 pages. Right. So welcome everyone. I'm on Tall Tales today. Just chilling. Recording some stories. This one's called How I Became a God. And it's about this giant creature that just exists throughout like time in Earth, and tribes and civilizations start to worship them. Sorry, I'm playing with some blue tech there. Yeah, they start to get worshipped as like a god. And it's not really a horror story, but it is one that I liked. So I'm gonna read this one. I'm just gonna quickly test chat by typing hello. Did it come up on my phone? No. Boop. Ooh, the thingy broke. Come on. I think it's because it's like running out of battery. Right, Save that one. Save. Save. Okay. Okay, now everything works. Kind of. I need a cable. I need to charge this thing up. Come on. Come on. Ooh. There we go. Oh, it doesn't want to do up and down. Come on. Okay. We're going to let that charge. Do you know what I do have? I've got that blue tack I was playing with. I just blue tack my phone to the side of my partner's case. Okay, and there. We'll see if that stays. Okay, does chat work now? Chat ain't coming up. I wonder if it's because I'm the streamer, I'm the host. Did that come out? No, okay. Okay, it's not working. Yeah, okay, I don't know why. Why it's not coming up and why it's not working. Yeah, no idea. Okay, I'll just ignore it. Camera's not straight. Okay, let's get started, shall we? Hello, is my microphone on? Yes, it is. How I Became a God by user Britain RT. I wasn't smart when I was born. In fact, I was a cripple and a simpleton. I couldn't walk, so I dragged myself on the ground of the floor. I couldn't walk, so I dragged myself around on the forest floor. Never straying from my mother's presence, I felt at the time she never cared much for my siblings and I. She never cared much for my siblings and I, mostly letting us fend for ourselves. But I realized now she kept a careful eye on us. She was cold, distant, and dumb like me. But she knew how to watch for large animals and other potential threats as my brothers, sisters, and I slowly figured out how to feed ourselves. Okay, I was double checking I was using the right microphone. Okay, that's the first paragraph. Slowly getting there. See, I can't really see chat. I don't think anyone's here anyway. Is there a chat? There is a chat. But it still doesn't work. It says chat enabled on here, but nothing comes up. I don't know why. Okay, oh well. I'll just use this pop-up chat. Sweet. It seems cruel in retrospect, and many of my siblings died young. Life was hard, crawling in the dirt of the forest floor, treating anything remotely as edible treating anything remotely as edible as a banquet to be cherished. Treating anything as remotely edible as a banquet to be cherished. As I slowly grew, she eventually disappeared, leaving me and my two remaining brothers alone at a young age. They both perished shortly after. But somehow I managed to survive against all odds, crawling in the mud, struggling against my disability, finding food and shelter anywhere I could. I slowly learned how to use my disabilities to my advantage, setting ambushes and traps for small game. Setting ambushes and traps for small game. I've lost where I am. But I was still fundamentally an idiot, and no matter how clever I thought I was back then, failure was common and life continued to be difficult. Surviving in the jungle, while mentally disabled and handicapped, was mostly a factor of sheer luck. Though, at the time, I thought myself to be quite adept. I never stayed in one place for long, and I moved very slowly, but carefully. My diet consisted of anything I could find laying around, which was edible, mostly small animals I could catch, but I could go hungry for very long periods of time. Eventually, I stumbled upon a small stream with an even smaller cave nearby. I made it my home for a while. It wasn't much, but it was hidden and provided some sense of security. I would drag myself out to the stream and bask in the warm tropical heat at times, the warm tropical sun at times, take naps under trees and eat as often as I could manage. Those were my simple pleasures in life back then. Predators were always a threat, and being crippled, running was not an option. So I learned to hide. I learned to read my environment. I learned when to be loud and when to be quiet. And against all odds, I somehow survived. Once again, in retrospect, I mistook luck for cleverness. And what would have been my entire life up until I starved or finally ran out of luck. But that is where my story really begins, where it should have ended. God, this camera kind of crookedy. I was crawling along the forest floor, searching for something, anything to eat. It had been many days, and I had a furious hunger. All I knew how to do was hobble around, crawling and dragging myself through the jungle, looking for scraps, small animals I could ambush underground. I had just pulled myself through a small bush when I saw it. The jaguar was low to the ground, in a pouncing position. On any other day, I might have become its meal there and then, but it was focused on something else. I remained absolutely still, barely even breathing, hoping not to draw its attention. It crouched down even further, clearly preparing to strike, its eyes focused like only a hunter's can be. I dared a quick glance at its target, and what I saw was the most unusual bird. Giant and dangerous in its own right. Bright and colourful, and nearly the size of the jaguar itself. It was a rainbow of feathers with a crown of plumage on its head. Of course, at the time, I didn't realize how unusual this creature was. All I knew was that the jaguar was going to try and take down the giant avian at any moment. And it did. Try to, at least. The bird took flight at the moment the jaguar leapt, and it soared into the canopy. The cat pursuing, I remained still for some time to see it. I remained still for some time to see if it would return, but eventually eased out into the small clearing. There wasn't much of interest, so I wiggled up the small hill the bird had been resting on, only to find when I reached the top that it was in fact a giant bird's nest. And, to my delight, resting inside, were 3 very large eggs of unusual colour. Of course, I ate them all right there and then dragged myself to my usual resting spot, sleeping with a full belly. Sleeping with a full belly was always its own reward. But that was when things started to change. Over the next few days, I started to notice things I hadn't been aware of before. Small things at first. Observations about my surroundings that I hadn't noticed before. The world looked a bit more colourful. Than it did. Shapes a little more defined. I was able to pay attention to more things at once. As days turned into weeks, I started realizing I could start to make plans that were more sophisticated than just waiting silently for something to run up. I could make plans more sophisticated than just waiting for something to run by so I could grab it. Or looking for scraps laying around. I started to devise clever traps, using rocks and other features of my environment to help me catch my food. Choosing my resting locations in places where bushes and leaves would ensure I could hear predators on the ground. I was still a cripple, but I was growing smarter. I also began to grow bigger, a lot bigger. I had been an underfed runt for most of my life, but in the span of several months, I had become a veritable giant, well nourished, now nearly 6 feet, all muscle. I still had to crawl around, but I could do so with speed and vigor I had never known. Oh, guys, I needed to get more sleep this morning. I had such a late night, and it's taken me apart a bit. Yeah, chat still doesn't seem to it's enabled. Ooh, I flipped the camera. Yeah, it says chat enabled and everything, but doesn't seem to be working. Okay. I think I might leave it there. Just for today. I'm a little bit tired. But it's nice to know that I can just get up and be able to stream if I wanted to. Tall Tales. New folder. Voiceover recordings. Story called again? How I Became a God. close out through all that. I actually want to rename that file. Video recording. I want to put it at the end of it. Okay, you can put brackets. No, come on. Recording. Just so I can see that this door is still in progress. Okay, well, I'm gonna head off then. I don't know why chat and stuff never worked. Didn't make sense to me. But, oh well. I swear if it worked just then I would have shit myself. No, okay. Sweet. I'm gonna head off. I'll see you guys later. Bye.